Welcome to Oh No, the Zozo Show. I'm that gayish friend that wants you to enjoy every bit of your orgasm because you fucking deserve it. So, here we are, the Pride episode, Pride special, rather, and I just wanted to get something out of the way because it just seems to boggle everybody's mind. I'm definitely gay, Gay. But I know the intro comes off as I'm that gayish friend. Well, I used to always joke that I would lick a clit as soon as I would suck a dick. Lots of things have changed over the years, and let's just say there's far less clit licking and a lot more dick sucking. Oh my goodness, my goodness, my goodness. Anyways, long story short, I just like to say gayish friend just because I've dabbled in lots of things. Now, the reason this is a Pride episode is because, one, Come Out with Pride Orlando is happening this week, and it's something that I've never particularly participated in, mostly because I used to be ashamed of who I was. It was not something that I wanted broadcasted. I was very much not wanting to be out. I mean, growing up in a very religious family, as I mentioned in previous shows, is being gay is definitely a no-no. So it takes a toll on you sometimes, unfortunately. But I'm here today to say, hey, I'm gay, and I really kind of love it. It's really pretty awesome. But I've also dabbled in a lot of other things, so don't necessarily want to hunker down on any title. But I'm proud of who I am. I think that's what pride is: being open and accepting and willing to love any and everybody for who they are and what they are. Now, it hasn't always been so easy being able to jump in front of a camera or behind a mic and talk about, being comfortable with who I am when for so much of my life I hadn't been. So, fuck it. Let's talk about it. Today's episode is Pride. Now, I've already come decked out in my fabulous peacock outfit, and I've got my pearls to clutch, and I got a little bit of sparkle just because I wanted to zhuzh myself up. And I've chosen a peacock because they just don't really give a damn. They're so flashy and flamboyant. Now, before I begin, this story involves some details of violence against a transgender individual. So just brace yourself because it's an unfortunate story. I was once working in an IT department at a religious organization, and I was having a conversation with somebody in management, and they began to tell me this story about how when they were out and about after a game or a night of drinking, I don't know, something the straight boys always do, and one of his pals was really wanting a blowjob, so they go to find someone and pay for a blowjob. They go out and about. They look for a prostitute to give a blowjob or hook up or whatever they decided, and their one friend ends up getting a blowjob from a transgender. Okay, all right, great. Where is this going? Good for them. And the rest of the crew end up clowning their friend, and he's so pissed drunk. Apparently, he's not sure why. They're laughing at him because he just hooked up with this gorgeous black woman, and they brought to his attention that it was a man, and he got so infuriated, and he ran over and he started decking this transgender woman in the face and slamming their face against the pavement and kicking them in the gut and spitting on them. And all the while, this person in management was just smiling as he was recounting the story. chucking it up to, oh, good buds having a good time. They just stood there and did nothing. At least, again, from his account of the story. Now, this is like back in the 70s and 80s, and I think personally it was a bit harder to be convinced back in those days, but we're going to leave that alone. I'm going to leave that alone. But nowadays you have them all fooled, and I love it. It's so fabulous. I love it all. Fool me any day. Oh. However, the sad part about that was the shame I felt for not saying, hey, you disgusting son of a bitch, you're gross for laughing about this. Like, what are you doing now to change your actions? And it didn't sound like anything, but I couldn't. I was young and new in my career and just kind of chucked it off, knowing I was gay, but didn't want anybody to find out. And that right there told me, one, I definitely did not need to work for that organization anymore. And two, I need to do some real soul searching, because this just sounded really horrific, and I couldn't imagine getting decked or jumped just because I hooked up with someone. But there I was sitting in the office, just kind of chuckling at the story, and just this overwhelming sense of guilt came over me, and shame, like, okay, well, you're just as bad as this person for not stopping his friend at the time and saying something like, say, hey, this is a terrible story, or hey, this is crap, or hey, shame on you. And I really regret that, because I know how much of a struggle it is to come out of the closet. Hearing stories like that are petrifying for individuals in the LGBTQ plus community. I'm sorry I'm getting choked up, but you hear so many horror stories for people who look and act like me, just wanting to have a good time or just wanting to be themselves, being murdered and killed. It's a nightmare, but we have to keep fighting. You have to keep being yourself. I mean, so many have been lost for me to be able to do this. I left that company soon after that, and I decided that very early on, while I wouldn't talk about my sexuality, I definitely wouldn't hide it. So I got a job as traveling around the USA, and it was absolutely amazing. I loved every second of it. Well, I can't say every second of it. I was shacked up in some crazy towns, but had some amazing sex. Whoa, let me tell you. Yeah, really amazing sex. But just in knowing that after I had gotten my new job and I was traveling across the U.S. and from state to state, knowing that I was more than comfortable letting a group of people know that I was gay or had a partner or significant other, just made me feel so much stronger and that much more confident about myself. Now, there are several ailments that are likely to develop if you are forced to keep your sexual identity a secret from society and from yourself. So let's talk about them. One of these ailments is dissociative identity disorder. Psychiatrists have discovered that closeted individuals routinely separate their attractions and feelings for the persons of the same sex from their identity. So that means guys and girls out there, or however you identify, will find your desires of what you want within someone of the same sex so unacceptable that you live a lie. I mean, that is going to separate your sexual identity from the rest of your persona. And when you force yourself to hide these anxiety-provoking thoughts about your sexuality, this is going to force you to live a double life, and you may not even be aware of it and how it's coming to be that way, but if all of a sudden you can't do what you want to do, or live how you want to live for the sake of work or who you hang out with, uh, all because of who you want to be with, that is going to make life miserable. Take it from prime example. I won't get bogged down into details, but it'll drive you crazy. And you won't be able to keep up with the lies. And it's just like, oh, who are you dating now? Oh, somebody such and such, so and so. Oh my God, it's horrible. I mean, oh God, one terrible, horrible, funny story. Like, I had to pretend that I brought my girlfriend on a cruise because my mother continually hounded me about why I don't have a girlfriend. I'm like, oh, I have a girlfriend. And then I just asked a good friend of mine to pretend, and it was a very unfortunate scenario. But mother convinced. But, I had to do what I had to do. Just living that lie just got to be so much of a burden that it wasn't worth it. I mean, took somebody on a cruise because I didn't want my family to know I was gay. Don't get, yeah, I mean, but to go on a cruise and pretend you're straight, it's just, oh, God. I kind of wanted to hook up with the person next door. He was really cute, handsome guy. Anywho, another ailment, chronic depression. So, increased fear and withdrawal from friends and relatives, and the chronic stress of hiding your sexual identity can lead to excess amounts of cortisol in the body, which contributes to severe depression as well as the general wear and tear of the body. Scientists at Louis H. LaFontaine Hospital in Montreal, leave it to fucking Canada, love them, have stated that staying in the closet weakens your whole immune system, in addition to leading to chronic depression. I don't need to be depressed because I'm gay. I'll find other reasons to be depressed, but I am no longer going to be depressed about being gay. And that chronic depression will likely lead you to self-disgust and self-hatred, which is another ailment. Now, it's safe to say that society has socialized us into thinking that being non-heterosexual is somehow bad, wrong, or immoral. Many closeted gay and lesbian individuals end up developing internalized homophobia. They find that they don't belong in either the gay or straight community. And that sucks, not feeling as though you don't belong anywhere. I mean, this painful feeling often leads to self-disgust, self-hatred, and contempt for more open and out there LGBTQ plus members. And it'll do a number on your esteem, your self-esteem, rather, and that's another point. I'm getting choked up, so forgive me as, I'm going over this because so much of this was me. Like, I hated myself so much for the feelings that I had just because of who I was told I was supposed to be. And it's really hard, but I'm happy that I'm doing this, and I hope you can understand that when you hear me choking up, it's because this is hitting so close to home, and sometimes it's a little hard to fathom that so much of this was my life. So anyways, now the last ailment I want to touch base on would be alcohol or drug abuse and suicidal thoughts. Growing increasingly withdrawn and depressed, closeted individuals often follow unsafe sexual practices and engage in other destructive, high-risky, or risk-taking behaviors. Being ostracized by the community, fearing shame and physical torture, imprisonment, creating heterosexual families, and disassociating themselves from the gay population lead many to live a life of substance abuse and addictions. constantly haunted by suicidal thoughts, and many consider ending their lives. I mean, so many individuals have a fear of being ostracized by the masses. They're afraid of feeling that shame or potentially coming in contact with physical torture or, in some instances, imprisonment. And they go off and they create their own straight or heterosexual families, and they completely disassociate themselves from the gay population altogether, which will lead many to live a life of substance abuse and, unfortunately, many addictions to follow after that. That will put you in a negative state of mind to where suicide is rampant. I mean, a lot of lying to myself resulted in a lot of heavy nights with the love of vodka, which now I can't stand. I can't do vodka, and never been a big drug person, but I will attest to loving mushrooms. So no God, no master, just mushrooms. Outside of that, I can't say there's much in the way for drugs. I mean, I do love my weed. Weed is so good. Weed is so delicious. But never had a desire to do anything extreme like Tina or Coke or anything to that extent. I'm not saying if you do, you're a bad person. It was just never for me. I mean, again, my go-to was vodka at one point, and then wine. But now it's just an occasional drink here and there. Now that I became a parent, I need to save my fucking energy. The things that you'll do for your family, I tell you. But now I need to conserve my energy in other ways, and I've found that having an outlet like this has allowed me to not want to have as many glasses of wine or as many exhausting nights. That, and I'm fucking older too. I'm old. I don't have that fucking time anymore. A great thing about being more open and honest with myself is that I have the ability to kind of speak more confidently and freely about who I am, and it definitely shows. My attitude is wildly different in a good way. I stand up for myself. I'm more confident around people who would have, particularly in the past, made me uncomfortable. For instance, I gave the unfortunate example of how I felt so much shame and embarrassment that I wasn't able to speak up for a member of the LGBTQ plus community, and done the whole shame on management. However, fast forward a bit later with traveling out of the way, because on and off a plane it had to be done. But in one instance, I was dancing at my desk, and Adele came on, and forget, send my love to you, little lover. And so I'm dancing in my chair. I'm just like, oh, this is my shit. And so I back up and I roll. And I do a little pop, pop, pop. And then a gentleman, also in a management position, who had said some snarky things about the gay community and my choice of attire from time to time. Why are you looking so hard, motherfucker? See something you like? Anyways, they ended up making a very snarky comment saying, okay, settle down. You settle down and mind your business. And he said, okay. And I said, okay. And I went and I carried on and I kept dancing because nobody was going to take my joy. I don't care if I'm a little extra flamey. It is what it is. I'm not going to sit here and deny or hide who I am for the comfort of anybody else. If I'm not hurting you or you're not in a position to feed, fuck, or finance me, there's not much I can do or say that is going to make me want to not be who I am. There are so many trailblazers out there who have fought for me to be able to be this comfortable, who have told me that, hey, you are perfectly merited and you are perfectly loved being who you are. And I would be doing a disservice to myself if I didn't get out there and say, hey, this is me having some fun from time to time. Because I love this. This is a release. And it's mine. So, babies, let your pride shine bright. And this isn't me saying you need to come out, but if you do, know that you're loved, you're well taken care of. You've got friends and family out there who will love and take care of you. It might not seem like that, but you do. So let your pride flag fly high. So, hey, here's a nookie fact for you. And yes, I am holding a glass dildo, and it's really heavy. But 1 in 3 homosexual men prefer not to engage in anal sex. Not me. Give me the D. Or take my D or something. I mean, there's going to be booty sex. Let's do it in the butt. Back to the show. So remember, love yourself. Be proud of yourself. Be proud of who you are. Be proud of how you identify. There's only one you, boo-boo. Might as well be the best you that you can be. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate all the love and the support. And, of course, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can always feel free to email me at zoezo@thezoezo.com. That's zozo@thezozo.com. And be sure to subscribe, follow, and share on all platforms. That's Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, the Tickety Talk, Facebook, all of them. And spread the word if you liked what you hear. I appreciate you guys tuning in. And as always, love and peace. Happy Pride. Come out with Orlando. This is Zoe.